AIM-listed Power Metal Resources is a global multi-commodity project group with 14 different commodity projects around the globe. Some are early stage exploration, some are being drilled as we speak, and others are being spun off into separate companies to be prepared for IPO. I'm joined once again by Chief Executive Paul Johnson to bring us up to date on progress. Hello, Paul. How are you today?
Hello, Alan. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Very well indeed. In the Sussex Innovation Centre here. Now, I was going to ask you all about the projects, the project development and the announcement today about the FDR project, CELTA project in Australia. But instead, I'm going to ask you what the hell is happening in the markets?
Oh, generically or in respect of our own share price?
Well, I think in respect of your own share price, and I think just in the small resource or the small cap resource sector generally.
Yeah, wasn't it Mark Twain that said the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent?
Yes.
It's a difficult time. Our space is, I often say this, the field of dreams. And of course, the reason for that is that you can make disproportionate amounts of money for yourself and for your family when it goes well. Why can you make disproportionate amounts of money? Well, because there are great challenges in the natural resource market. And you have to be able to ride through those challenges to get to the other side and make the money. And most people can't. Understandably, most people don't want to. The commitment that's required, the risk to your finance, the ability to challenge everything that your mind is telling you and defend your investment positions. It's just such a tough environment to work in. It's highly cyclical, so up and down. And, some of the best progress that companies can make is often done in periods of no share price reaction because the market is switched off. So I think it's a kind of wonderful opportunity where we are now across the junior resource space with metal prices so high. Just look at the price of nickel, copper, what pretty much whatever you want is trading at significant premiums to where they were, a few years ago. There's no sign of that price strength abating. In fairness, it looks like it's with us for some time and probably going to go up even more. There's devastation on the junior resource sector floor, as it were. So it is the time to hold. It's the time to buy, I believe. I got some experience of this. I've done this for nearly 15 years in the junior resource space. And just when I was feeling at my worst with regard to confidence in the market generally or any one particular stock is when things do kick to life and get fun again.
Yep, indeed. Well, I too am an investor, long-term investor I have a portfolio of numerous resource stocks, and I've seen this happen in the markets before. And as you and I well know, you can, within a few days, make the gains. Your portfolio can turn around and deliver the gains that you've been looking for over a year in the space of a few days. And that's partly why we're in the markets, because we love that sort of price movement. It's addictive. But of course, we've got this cocktail of will Putin invade Ukraine or won't he? He's posturing on the border at the moment and withdrawing some troops and then moving them elsewhere. And of course, that's spooking the markets to some extent. Then in the UK here, of course, you've got this cocktail of Brexit. How's the UK economy going to fare after Brexit? And all of those other factors too. But there are other items that I see in the global economy that really add up to an absolute slam dunk must have. And that's the fact that you have these infrastructure budgets. In the US, you've got a $1.9 trillion infrastructure budget. China's a burgeoning economy. You've got countries like Brazil spending huge amounts on infrastructure. And all that requires steel. It requires all of the commodities that Power Metal and other junior resource companies are engaged with. So I see a huge opportunity here. But I suppose one of the other factors is when you're running a company during a period like this, how do you manage the finances? How do you manage it on a day-to-day basis?
Most companies, I think, generally just don't spend anything on operations and go quiet. We don't really have that ethos. We've been going for it since day one, and we've cracked on with huge amounts of exploration activity and drilling, in particular, of late. We have so much progress across the board that if we needed to slow down operations to conserve capital, we could do that. It's not really been our methodology at any point in the last 3 years since Power Metal Resources came to life.
Yeah.
You do face a challenge when you're running a PLC company. The costs of running the companies are quite high. Just to keep the company in good standing on the markets is a fair old amount of money, hundreds of thousands of pounds, per annum. Then paying the board, if you pay them sensibly and reasonably, and you focus pay on performance, then that's under control and it's not too bad. You manage that. And then operational spend, as I mentioned, is just really in your gift. For if you have a healthy balance of spending on operations over recent months and years, as we do, means that you're probably ahead of the game, as we are in many of our interests, and you can keep that spend under control. The reality is that we've got, as a business, so much operational news flow across the board. If anything, it's kind of drowns itself out because we don't, we go from one day to the next. And it's a different announcement on every day sometimes, and that is, it's hard to consolidate the message on any one particular story. So I've never had, in the 3 years that we've been running Power, a problem with finance. We've never really struggled. We've never done this, heavily discounted raises. We've kept at market. We're building our asset base. There's lots of different interests, whether it be over £1 million of first-class metal shares that we got from a disposal last year, whether it be the few million cash at bank and listed investments that we've got, whether it's other interests that we could sell and dispose of. There's lots of engagement in our properties around the world, really, because it's getting into the time now when M&A is coming up and people will want to do deals. So I'm chilled on the finance side of the business, which is odd for me, Alan, because I'm an accountant and I've worked management. Normally, I would crap myself on a regular basis about anything to do with money, but not with this business. No, we're fine.
That's good. That's good. And of course, you have these IPOs scheduled during the year, and a lot of people are very excited about those. Certainly Golden Metal Resources, the first in line.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. I've had a good look on that, a good look at that myself, and really excited about the prospects of the company. How are those progressing?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's hard work.
Yes.
I mean, when you get behind this and see what has to be done, we got a great team. There is a vast amount of work to do on these IPOs. People have been worried about how will the value feed through to Power Metal and Power Metal shareholders on IPO. Well, if IPO activities and other disposals suddenly put 100 million on our balance sheet, I think people won't be worried about whether the value gets reflected. And we're innovative. I'm the largest shareholder at the moment in the company, and I want to make sure that value comes out from that process. Generally speaking, there are 4 IPOs at various stages, and some of them we're more actively involved on than others. We're pushing them forward as fast as we can, doing the work that needs to be done. You don't get listings on a main stock exchange, in any jurisdiction without doing a heck of a lot of work. We're proud of the packages that we've created, and that we will create. We're proud of the mechanisms we use to generate value for the shareholders that we've used in the past and we will use in the future. And we think we've got a really strong, diverse offer. Going well. And we will innovate. We will do things differently along the way. And I think, if people looking back in a year's time over what we've achieved and what we've done with the crystallization of value will be, I think they'll be impressed.
And of course, your new company slogan is "Powered by Difference," and great video accompanying that.
Yeah, that was me on the bike. Actually, no, it wasn't me on the bike. In Lycra, yeah. I mean, most people would pay not to see that, Alan. In fairness, because
depends what city you live in.
No, maybe. Yeah, we do things differently. We always have. It doesn't always deliver on the immediate share price. Let's be honest about that, okay? Look at our company, our market cap, circa 20 million quid. Look at what we've got in the business. No matter what we do with those business interests, we've got an incredible portfolio. And compared to our peers in the market, we are rather bizarrely undervalued. You know, if you do take a sensible analysis, if you break down our packages into the project package in Victoria, Australia, up in the Patterson, in the Northern Territory, you know, in Botswana, multiple packages in Botswana. Look at the North American stuff. You know, we are punching big time above our weight. It doesn't feed through to our market value at the moment. It doesn't. It's frustrating. Now, of course, we've had sellers.
Yeah,
you can imagine. I mean, you can kind of work it out with a little bit of effort as to who
yes.
Those sellers may be, and there will be others, because you have to remember, in a difficult market, people need cash. Most of the shares listed in the junior resource space don't trade. Very little volume. If people need cash, they can't go and get money out of those shares. And if they did, they'd destroy the price for their remainder holdings. So what people tend to do is they go for the more liquid shares, and they get bits of capital out from them over a period of time. So that has an effect too, because we're a reasonably liquid share. So there's all these different factors that, you know, from a selling perspective, that put the price under pressure. And what that does, of course, in time, is it demoralizes the holders, who think, when will the share price go up? And of course, we know, because we're not too old, Alan, but we're getting, you know, a little bit older, and we've been on the markets for a while. We know that there's a point, and it will probably switch around in 24 hours, when the selling reduces, the buying increases, and the prices are just dramatically higher. We've seen that recently with some shares on the market that have gone up 2 to 3 times in a couple of weeks, because that pressure comes off. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if that happened with Power Metal. I think, knowing what I do about the share register, and, you know, who's been selling, and the way that shares have been sold, the conditions of the markets, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a price adjustment. So from an investment perspective, you know, it's hard to keep focused and keep going, but it's kind of what you have to do to make money in our space.
It is indeed. And I think as well, you know, as you rightly say, shareholders do have to raise money from time to time. But the great thing with Power Metal, and I think you look at this compared to any other resource company, you've got all these different projects. And I've always said, whenever I've talked about the company, it just needs one of these projects to deliver something, and that project on its own will dwarf the current market cap. And that's what excites me. And I think that's why you have such a following across social media. That's why you have so many shareholders and investors who believe in the story.
A decent hit, Alan. As I used to say when I ran Metal Tiger, you know, we had 3 projects: Spain, Thailand, and Botswana. And I used to say, if we have 1 discovery, then shareholders will do very well. If we have 2, they'll do disproportionately well. If we have 3, it will be off the scale. Of course, we did get 1. We got T3 in Botswana with the discovery there, copper silver discovery, and it dramatically revolutionized Metal Tiger. And that project was born out of guts and determination. We got involved in 2015 when no one else wanted to, and we got criticism for buying into that Botswana project. Well, there's been plenty of people living finely off the returns from Metal Tiger's performance when it went up dramatically on the discovery. And I'm sure, you know, that company is solid and able to move forward in the future, just plain and simply off the back of that 1 decision in 2015 that we made to get involved in that project. Well, with Power Metal Resources, we've done this multiple times. We've made multiple decisions, and we've built the portfolio with the same ethos as I did with Metal Tiger back in 2015, but on a much larger scale.
Yeah, and the rationale behind that is very compelling. So we talked about the IPOs, Paul. Just bringing it back to near term now for shareholders. What near term milestones should we be looking for in the first half of the year?
Well, there's going to be a torrent, if that's the right word, of exploration news. There are multiple projects on the go.
Good.
There'll be an awful lot of corporate news. I think, well, what I'd like to do is morph into more where we really are crystallizing value. Not just the IPOs, but actually seeing our projects get major partners in, seeing disposal of certain of our project interests when when the time is right and the deals are right. We have 14 project packages, actually kind of 15, and each of them isn't just one single project. So in total, we probably have 35 projects behind those 14 project packages. I don't know what the correct number is, but it's a lot, and it gives us a lot of optionality to vend interests out to third parties, to do deals with joint venture partners and all the rest. So I think people want to see stability, security, and that a company is able to stand on its own 2 feet. So I'll be quite keen on seeing that value crystallized. And as the largest shareholder, of course, crystallized value is distributable. So that the exercise that will put us in a position to distribute, should we so choose, and if shareholders support us with that, will be underway shortly, and distribution will, to some extent, follow crystallization.
Sure. A busy and transformative year in prospect and in power metal marketing parlance, all powered by difference. Paul Johnson, Chief Executive of Power Metal Resources, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Alan.